Picture this. Russia, the heavyweight, steps into the ring with its old-school playbook. They roll out massive tanks, columns of soldiers, and armored vehicles stretching as far as the eye can see. The world watches as this military giant expects a quick, decisive victory, confident that sheer numbers and firepower will crush any resistance. It's a strategy that's worked before, a page straight out of the history books. On the other side, Ukraine stands as the underdog. Their soldiers are fewer, their equipment less advanced, and the odds seem stacked against them. Most of the world, watching from afar, bets against Ukraine, expecting them to fold under the pressure of Russia's overwhelming might. But as the first shots are fired, something unexpected happens. Ukraine doesn't just resist, they counterattack, catching Russian forces off guard. News headlines flash across the globe, reporting on Ukraine's fierce resistance and Russia's mounting surprises. The world is stunned, and so is Russia. What's Ukraine's secret? Instead of trying to match Russia tank for tank or soldier for soldier, they flip the script. They play a different game entirely. One built on agility, innovation, and the clever use of technology. Ukraine quickly realizes it isn't 1945 anymore. While Russia dusts off Cold War strategies and relies on Soviet-era hardware, Ukraine downloads the latest operating system for war. They bring laptops, drones, and digital tools to the battlefield, turning every soldier into a node in a high-speed network. This isn't just a clash of armies, it's a clash of eras. On one side, the weight of history and tradition. On the other, the speed and flexibility of the digital age. Military analysts and experts point to Russia's size and firepower, predicting a swift victory. Maps light up with arrows showing Russian advances, and newsrooms around the world brace for a quick end to the conflict. But Ukraine has surprises up its sleeve, a whole network of them. In command centers filled with screens and digital maps, Ukrainian operators coordinate in real time, using drones and data to outmaneuver their opponent. Modern wars aren't won by brute strength alone, they're won by intelligence, speed, and adaptability. Ukraine's troops move quickly, sharing information instantly, and striking where Russia least expects it. This is David versus Goliath, but this time, David wields a smartphone, Wi-Fi, and a digital map. The battlefield is connected, and every Ukrainian unit is part of a living, breathing network. Russia, meanwhile, sticks to old tactics. Massive artillery barrages, waves of infantry, and tanks moving in rigid formations. It's a show of force, but it's also predictable. Ukraine leverages technology and decentralized command, allowing for lightning-fast responses. Orders are given via tablets, drones relay real-time intelligence, and small teams mobilize in seconds. It's like a lumbering bear swatting at a swarm of tech-savvy bees. The bear is powerful, but the bees are everywhere, fast, coordinated, and impossible to pin down. The bear has brute strength, but the bees sting from every angle, coordinating attacks in ways the bear can't predict or defend against. Each drone, each unit, acts independently, but with a shared purpose. This sets the stage for one of the most remarkable displays of adaptive warfare in recent history. Ukraine's tactics become a case study in how the underdog can outsmart the giant. The world watches in real time as the old playbook collides with the new game, and in that collision, the very nature of modern warfare is rewritten before our eyes. When Russia launched its invasion, the world watched a spectacle that seemed ripped from the pages of history. Columns of tanks stretching for miles, convoys of armored vehicles rumbling down highways, and waves of troops advancing under the shadow of roaring fighter jets. It was a display of military might that echoed the great wars of the 20th century, a show of force meant to intimidate and overwhelm. The Russian doctrine was clear: use overwhelming numbers and relentless firepower to smash through resistance like a sledgehammer cracking a nut. Artillery barrages, massed infantry, and armored assaults were all part of a strategy designed to break the enemy's will through sheer brute force. Many experts and commentators around the world quickly wrote Ukraine off. They expected the country's defenses to collapse in the face of such a massive onslaught, predicting that Kiev would fall within days, if not hours. The odds seemed insurmountable. Russia's plan was rooted in its past, relying on the legacy of Soviet-era victories and the enduring power of conventional warfare. Generals trusted in the old playbook, believing that what had worked before would work again. But the world, and the nature of war, had changed. What they failed to see was Ukraine's fierce determination to resist, and the rapid evolution of modern warfare. The spirit of the Ukrainian people, combined with new tactics and technology, would prove to be a force the Russians hadn't anticipated. Russia brought a massive, predictable force to a battlefield that demanded flexibility and quick thinking. Their rigid top-down command structure struggled to adapt as the situation on the ground shifted rapidly, and their convoys became vulnerable targets. Intelligence and orders flowed slowly from the top, making it difficult for Russian units to respond to fast-moving local threats. Delays and confusion plagued their operations as soldiers waited for instructions that often came too late. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces used creativity and agility to turn the tide. As the ground shifted beneath the Russian giant, it became clear that tradition alone was no match for innovation and the unbreakable will to defend one's home. While Russia played by old rules, Ukraine flipped the chessboard. Outnumbered, they outsmarted with speed and tech. Drones became their eyes, spotting tanks, directing artillery, even dropping grenades. Small units gained unprecedented battlefield awareness, outmaneuvering Russia's cumbersome forces. Starlink satellite internet kept communications alive, even as infrastructure was destroyed. Real-time intelligence and coordination became possible, sidestepping chaos. Ukraine embraced decentralized command, empowering junior officers to act fast. This agility let them exploit opportunities and react to threats instantly. Real-time data drove smart, dynamic choices. Their fluid, adaptable style countered Russia's size with precision. The battlefield became a high-tech arena where speed and information ruled. Ukraine's real secret weapon? Mindset. In the face of overwhelming odds, it wasn't just weapons or numbers that made the difference. It was a new way of thinking. The spirit of innovation and adaptability became the backbone of Ukraine's resistance, fueling every action on and off the battlefield. They didn't copy old powers, they imagined the war of the future now. Instead of relying on outdated doctrines, Ukraine's defenders embraced technology and creativity, rewriting the rules of modern warfare as they went. It was a shift from attrition to information, speed, and precision. The focus moved from sheer firepower to outsmarting the enemy, using intelligence and rapid decision-making to gain the upper hand. Innovation was the default. Problems were solved on the fly, not by waiting for orders. Soldiers, engineers, and volunteers worked side by side, constantly adapting to new challenges and finding creative solutions in real time. Soldiers 3D printed parts, engineers modified drones, tech volunteers built apps for aid and intelligence. The battlefield became a laboratory, where new ideas were tested and deployed at lightning speed. Ukraine turned the conflict into a data-driven enterprise, crowdsourcing info from civilians and allies. Every smartphone became a sensor, every citizen a potential source of vital intelligence. Information flowed quickly to those who needed it, enabling rapid targeting and maneuvering. Decisions that once took hours or days were now made in minutes, sometimes seconds, thanks to seamless communication. They fought a networked war, every sensor and soldier contributing to collective intelligence. The front lines and headquarters were linked in real time, creating a living, breathing network of awareness and action. Social media became a weapon, rallying support, countering propaganda, and demoralizing the enemy. Ukraine's story was told not just by journalists, but by ordinary people, shaping global perception and morale. Ukraine fought for territory and for the story. In this new era, victory was measured not only in land reclaimed but in hearts and minds won, both at home and around the world. Ukraine blurred the line between soldier and civilian. Everyone became part of the war effort through technology. Apps let citizens report troop movements and dangers, creating crowdsourced intelligence. Drones were everywhere, used by soldiers, farmers, hobbyists, turning civilian tech into military assets. Starlink kept both military and civilians connected, maintaining morale and information flow. Public tech adoption became psychological warfare, rallying global support. Memes and social media boosted morale and mocked the Russian war machine. Ordinary Ukrainians became digital warriors, fighting with creativity and connectivity. The information space became a critical battlefield, and Ukraine dominated it. War is a relentless learning process. Ukraine's early innovations stunned Russia, halting advances and achieving stunning successes. But Russia adapted, ramping up drones, electronic warfare, and shifting tactics to grind down Ukrainian positions. The bear learned new tricks, making slow, costly gains as the war evolved. Ukraine couldn't rely on early innovations alone, they had to keep adapting. The fight became a mix of attrition and high-tech skirmishes. There's no magic bullet. Victory demands constant adaptation and resourcefulness. Ukraine's initial edge came from fighting the next war while Russia fought the last. As Russia caught up, the battlefield grew more complex and contested. Continuous innovation and international support became critical in this protracted conflict. The big lesson? Wars aren't won by simply repeating the past. Victory comes from adapting, innovating, and always anticipating what's next. Ukraine's early success was a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare, turning tech, intelligence, and decentralized force into real power. But adaptation is a two-way street. As Russia evolved, the fight changed. The moment you stop innovating, you become vulnerable. Ukraine's real secret was embracing change, combining creativity, resilience, and smart tech. In war, the only constant is change. Shape the future or risk defeat.